Good evening and welcome to Sunset News this Friday evening. As always, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather, and sports. I am Glenora Shipura. In the news tonight, Walvis Bay-based fishing company Mirrorless Fishing earlier today launched its new commemorative factory. The factory is a wet processing plant designated for the production of high-end market-ready consumer products for premium markets. The event was officiated by the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources, Derek Claassen.
But due to the same reasons that were given, availability of the factory will start operation with only 220 people, which will boost the group's total employment figure to 1,400 people. This is indeed good news, and I am extremely pleased to be informed that the additional capacity to employ further 220 people can be activated. Now, allow me to touch a bit on the quantum of the investment, as I mentioned earlier. How encouraged I feel as a Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources about the faith and confidence the Mirrorless Group has shown in the Namibian fishing industry, particularly in this post-COVID era. I can just mention to you, when we are in the ministry and working and going through documents and stuff, I need to, Mr. Julio, your company is doing good. And what we like in the ministry, you do what you are asked to do, reporting wise. Your company is one of those companies that employed workers. And what we need from you, quarterly reports about employment, these workers, how you employ them, where they're employed. Mirrorless is one of those companies. If I was still a teacher, I would have said you are an A student. Do I need to say any more?
PwC Country Manager Chantel Hasselman says the Namibia Revenue Agency should look at processes that will ease the cost of tax compliance on small and medium enterprises to ensure they are able to comply with Namibia's tax laws without it being an unnecessary burden.
In terms of simplicity, I can recall at budget I said like this, that the announcement of considering, for example, a smaller business tax. So where we find Namibia has a very large informal market sector where the typical Namibian entrepreneur or micro SME should also be granted equal opportunity in having this small business activity, but being able to afford not just the tax to be paid, but also the cost of compliance, which is quite high. So for your smallest taxi operator, hair salon, tiler, plumber, you name it, it's difficult to afford an accountant. It's just to know how does this work, what is expected next from me, do I have a laptop, do I have an internet access to make use of the incredible online filing mode where we find ourselves. So that is just food for thought. Almost done, Linda.
Kavango East Education Director Fano Kapepero says boarding schools are essential for the region. However, he indicated they are very costly to manage. He was speaking during a stakeholder engagement in Rundu. Kenya Kambowe reports.
Of my child. So how important is boarding schools in a region such as Kavango East?
No, boarding schools are critical. The challenge that we have in the region is that we don't have boarding at primary level, except for the mission.
Yes.
Sambu, Nyangana, and Andara. But we have started one boarding now at Likwaterera. There is a hostel there. The idea is to have all those learners in the inland, the so-called bush learners, to come to one. We've started, they'll be going there at Likwaterera. But also, as much as it is essential, it is very expensive. really is expensive. But we really want to have another boarding school. In other regions, you'd have as many boarding schools as possible. We also try to push that we can have another boarding school. Matumbo that we have there, it's not enough.
So,
Finance Minister Ipumbu Shimi says while there is a significant drag on government resources to sustain the public service wage bill, it remains hopeful to reach a consensus around demands for an 8% salary hike following renewed calls for salary increases. Shimi made the remarks following a recent demand by the Namibia Public Workers Union and Namibia National Teachers Union for a pay rise and increases in housing and transport allowances. Among the demands was for the government to grant an increase in housing allowance for below management by 20%, an increase in housing allowance for management cadre by 8%, an increase in kilometer tariff to $7 million per kilometer, and an increase in transport allowance of below management by 20%. Government resources are under pressure. We will engage with the union and we will listen to their demands, but we will also convey and give them the union statistics they can look at. I am sure we can find a reasonable outcome, Shimi said at a post-budget briefing held this past week. Now, Shimi said the government was sympathetic to the salary situation of civil servants in light of the last receiving a wage hike in 2017 and again recently in August 2022. We understand the pressure on the income of civil servants. We also understand that civil servants have not received a salary increase since 2017, so that we understand, he said. In our story of the day, Agriculture Minister Carl Schleitwein yesterday briefed stakeholders at an engagement.
Namibia's hospitality is as vibrant as its people. Join the What's Cooking team as they travel the country cooking, chatting, and celebrating local personalities and the joy of food. If you think you have a standout offering, whether it's a restaurant, bar, pop-up event, or braai stand, get in touch with the What's Cooking team at cooking@synergy.com.na and we will be there to show the world what's cooking. Programs air every Friday at 4 p.m. on all the NMH Facebook platforms, as well as on NTV, DSTV channel 285, and GoTV channel 94 at 9 p.m.
Agriculture Minister Carl Schleitwein yesterday briefed stakeholders at an engagement in Keetmanshoop regarding the development plans for the Nakartal Dam project. Let's take a look.
We have got two aspects that we want to share with you today. One are the socio-political aspects around the project, and the second part is a technical presentation of where we are with the dam, what lands we have acquired, what quality they are, so that we give you and share with you where exactly the project is positioned, and Dr. Gurare will give you that presentation. It's a brief presentation on the technical aspects. Let me start with the first section, and yes, I think our Master of Ceremonies is correct. He takes a little bit more of the claim of fame than he deserves, I think, but because there were many people involved in the project. And I can remember a meeting where the traditional authorities, in fact, your traditional leaders, came to President Pohamba into State House, where this project was discussed and agreed in principle. I think that was the actual origin of the project. And I'm very pleased to note that ever since that agreement, we never changed our mind about the project. that it is an important project that is touching on a number of policy aspects that are agreed upon across party lines. We all agree that food self-sufficiency is needed. We all agree that we need economic growth. We all agree that when we have natural resources like water, we must exploit it for the benefit of the people in that region where that resource occurs, but also for national benefits overall. We agree on that. There are no diversions on that. That is still today the case. But what has caught up with us is the mere size of the project. We built the dam, and you will recall that the tendered amount was 3.8 billion. We ended up spending 5.4 billion. So that's a hefty amount that came on top of what the original estimates were. There were a number of reasons for that, but let that be what it was. We can learn from it, but what we have take home is that we have the dam. It's done. And it's an spectacular piece of infrastructure in cubic meter. It was designed to, and Mr. De Kock can help me right if that is correct, but I believe it was designed, its size, to catch 3 rainy seasons, or it needs 3 rainy seasons to fill up. We were surprised, it only took 1. But don't be fooled. This year it got only 600 or 6 million cubic meter inflow. That's less than 10% of its total volume of 800. So if we get normal inflow of 6 million, it will take 12 years to fill up. But that's the nature of our region here. It's dry and rainfall is erratic. Sometimes we are lucky, it fills up in 1 year. Sometimes it is dry and it does not get any water. So the design of the irrigation scheme is to have a secure water supply for at least 3 years without any inflow. And I think that's an important aspect. We cannot use the whole 800 million cubic meter in 1 year, because then in the next year we are stranded. We have no water. So the design is based on a 3-year water security plan.
In economic news after the break, S&P downgrades South Africa's outlook. Do stay tuned.
3, 2, 1.
We Talk brings you community news that lies at the heart of Windhoek residents. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact wetalk@synergy.com.na. You live, we talk.
Let's take a look at our economic news. S&P globally unexpectedly downgraded South Africa's credit rating outlook to a stable from positive on Wednesday. In an unscheduled announcement, the U.S. credit rating agency cautioned that South Africa's economic growth is facing increasing pressure from severe electricity shortages. Reforms to address infrastructure shortfalls and to improve governance and performance at state-owned enterprises are slow, weighing on growth, while contingent liabilities from SOEs pose continued downside risks to South Africa's fiscal and debt position. In reaction, Treasury said it is taking urgent measures to reduce load shedding in the short term and transform the sector through market reforms to achieve long-term energy security. Other reforms are underway to improve performance in freight rail. Let's take a look at our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 18.48 to the US and 19.57 to the euro. It trades at 22.06 to the pound and 2 Namibian dollars and 65 cents buys yuan Chinese yuan. Zinc is down by 0.03% and Brent crude oil is down by 0.65%, trading at $81 and 6 cents per barrel. In the international slot, 8 were killed, including a gunman at Jehovah's Witness Hall shooting in Germany.
Straight Talk is a debate competition for high school learners and a spelling competition for primary school learners, mostly focusing on current affairs among the youth. Contact Zone at synergy.com.na to share your products and services. Straight Talk. Don't raise your voice, improve your argument.
Let's take a look at our international news. 8 people were killed and others were wounded in a shooting at a Jehovah's Witness place of worship in the German city of Hamburg, and the gunman was among the dead, police said on Friday. In a statement on Twitter, police said they believed there to be one perpetrator in the Thursday evening attack and were investigating motives. The gunman appeared to have been a former member of the Jehovah's Witness community, Spiegel magazine reported. The man was aged between 30 and 40 and was not known to authorities as an extremist, the report said, citing unnamed sources. A spokesperson for Hamburg police could not confirm the details, referring to a news conference planned for later in the morning. Police received a call soon after 9 p.m. on Thursday, and officers arrived at the scene to find several people seriously injured and some dead. Then they heard a shot from above. They went upstairs and found one further person, said a police spokesperson. The Bild newspaper reported that 8 people were wounded in the shooting in Hamburg, which is Germany's second most populous city and home to the country's biggest port. Mobile phone footage recorded by a resident across the street from the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall in the Alsterdorf district of the city showed a person outside the building shooting in through a window. We'll be taking a look at the weather update after the break.
The Regional Review brings you news, views, and interviews from NMH correspondents from across the country. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact regional@synergy.com.na.
Let's take a look at the weather update for Saturday. Sunny and hot weather is expected in the north with Nana at 35 degrees and Ruakana at 33 degrees. Partly sunny weather is expected along the coast with a high of 22 degrees in Walvis Bay and 20 degrees in Henties Bay. Getting into our Sunday forecast, a sunny and hot weather is expected in the north with Nana at 36 degrees and Ruakana at 37 degrees. Sunny weather is expected along the coast with a high of 22 degrees in Walvis Bay and 20 degrees in Henties Bay. In the sports section tonight, we take a look at Wanderers' first team that won Cricket Namibia's 50-over Premier League final last weekend.
Sport Wrap is a daily show focusing on all sport news and current affairs. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact sportrap@synergy.com.ma.
Let's take a look at your sport update. After the Wanderers first team already won Cricket Namibia's 50-over Premier League final last weekend, they are also firmly placed to close off the current season with another title when the T20 Premier League is played on Sunday. Wanderers are currently leading the log with 2 wins from 3 matches and have already won against their main competitors, Windhoek High School Old Boys. 3 more league matches will be played on Saturday, all of them at the Wanderers Field at 8 a.m. CCD Tigers take on WHS Old Boys, followed by Trasco United versus Old Boys at 11 p.m. before CCD Tigers return to face Wanderers at 3 p.m. The T20 final will be played on Sunday from 2 p.m. also at Wanderers Field. The MTC Salute Boxing Academy will host its first fight night of the year on the 1st of April with 1 title fight for a WBA Pan-African belt as well as 2 national titles on the card. Namibia's unbeaten flyweight Philemon Nguhutenya, who has a professional record of 10 wins and 1 draw, will headline the event as he steps into the ring to defend his WBA Pan-African title, which he won in May last year. His opponent will be from South Africa. The Fight Night title salute in action is scheduled to be hosted at the Roman Catholic Hall in Windhoek. The ever-popular Rossing National Marathon Championship, along with the 5-kilometer fun walk, returns to Swakopmund on Saturday morning, bigger than ever, after having been reduced to a virtual competition due to the previous 2 years due to the pandemic. For the first time, more than 1,000 entries were received for the event, proudly hosted by Rossing Uranium and Swakop Striders Running Club. Prize money of 20,000 Namibian dollars each will await the Open Men's and Women's Marathon Championships, while the second and third places will be worth 8,000 Namibian dollars and 5,000 Namibian dollars respectively. The highlights follows shortly after the break.
Chill Sessions is an entertainment show that brings you the latest hit, fashion, and entertainment news. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact chill@synergy.com.na. Chill Sessions, bringing art and entertainment to the people.
Let's get into the highlights from today's broadcast. Walvis Bay-based fishing company Merlis Fishing earlier today launched its new Commemorative factory. The factory is a wet processing plant designated for the production of high-end market-ready consumer products for premium markets. Finance Minister Ipumbu Shimi says while there is a significant drag on government resources to sustain the public service wage bill, it remains hopeful to reach a consensus around demands for an 8% salary hike following renewed calls for salary increases. The ever-popular Rossing National Marathon Championship, along with a 5-kilometer fun walk, returns to Swakopmund on Saturday morning, bigger than ever, after having been reduced to a virtual competition due to the previous 2 years due to the pandemic. And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Make sure you join Sunset News on Facebook on all the animate platforms on weekdays, as well as on our website, OneUpTwo.com. Sunset News screens on DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 94 every weekday from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. I am Glenora Shipura, and this has been Sunset News. Don't end your day without us.